I'm here with Wayne Williams, CEO of Callan JMB. Wayne, it's really nice to see you. How are you doing here?
I'm good. So far, a lot of very interested folks. It's been great.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about, so you're the leader in emergency response, specialty packaging. Let's just talk about kind of the growth the last couple of years and where you project it moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, last couple of years, obviously, we've got to take in what everybody knows, COVID. Um, that was for our business was phenomenal. That's what we're about. You know, we're a preparedness company, so prior to an event, we're working with the clients and the customers to be prepared for that event. And what I like to, bring up to folks is that, during COVID, during the height of it, you heard a lot about New York, you heard a lot going on in Los Angeles, but, Chicago was pretty quiet. Well, that's because we've been there since 2009. We've been under contract with the city providing public health preparedness. And so when it happened, we were rolling PPE and products out to the long-term care facilities, to the 35 hospitals. They're all part of this big, contract that we support and manage for them. So it really made it very successful for the company. And really, it was the turning point of me deciding to go public. The company's been profitable since 2009. We have no debt. We had $5 million in the bank. And, it's like, why do you go public? Well, if you look at what we did in COVID, that was our mission, to save people. And so shame on me if I don't say, I got to take this to the next level. I got to now go beyond Chicago, Texas, Oregon, Florida, where we at, and bring in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Los Angeles, because they all struggled, they suffered. And so that's really our goal in the preparedness and response side of our business. The packaging came from that, is really how that came about.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say, obviously, a surge doing really well during COVID times. And then post-pandemic, how do you kind of account for that? What's the plan? How do you diversify moving forward?
Yeah, it was a struggle because, obviously investors, people that want to believe in us, they look at two things. Obviously, they've got to understand our passion, our mission, our culture. And I love that, but they also have to understand the dollars and cents. I mean, we're business people. We understand that. So, when they look at the books, they'll go, wow, you had these big numbers in 20, 21, 22, and even a little bit in 23. Again, the base money didn't change. If you looked at pre-COVID, we were about $11 million company. Post-COVID in 23, we were a $13 million company. There was a little of the COVID residual, just cleanup, if you will. Now, of course, everybody looks at 24 and go, oh, folks, that was a transitional year. We made the decision knowing that we were going to take hit one. We paid for the going public out of the company. We didn't do a bridge. We didn't, because I didn't want any debt. And so, that took a hit. And then we've had a long relationship with Johnson & Johnson since 2009, managing their lease fleet, their shippers. And they had come to us before COVID wanting to go to a global approach because we had Jensen Pharmaceuticals and JOM, which are subsidiaries of Johnson & Johnson. They wanted to go global approach. We knew that we would have about an 18 to 2-year hiccup where we weren't doing the reclamation for them because they were onboarding their new platform, their new system, because the shippers that they were purchasing at that time had a warranty. Of course, you're not going to do reclamation on something that has a warranty. So, but now that that's coming to an end, we're talking with them again, coming back up. So we're really excited because this year, not only will we be back to where we were, pre-COVID, but we have some really good pieces of business coming on that are going to just grow the company.
Yeah, I'm curious about those. So, you've recorded some net losses. It kind of makes sense as you talk about it. What is the strategy moving forward to enhance the balance sheet?
Yeah. So again, we looked at the two primary modules, if you will, preparedness and response. So I'm happy to say that on next Tuesday, we'll be bringing on a senior vice president that I've known for many, many years in the emergency response and preparedness sector. He retired here about 3 weeks ago. He's deputy commissioner of public health, emergency response and preparedness. And then instead of handing him a good luck in your next adventure card, I handed him an offer letter, and it shocked him, but he believes in what we believe in, and he's concerned because obviously he can't do any work in the area that we knew him. And I said, well, we're already there. I need you to go to Wisconsin. I need you to go to Minnesota. Because these programs are funded by the federal government, and so it's there to protect every man, woman, and child in the state. And we're able to help them utilize those funds a lot better than they were. I mean, Chicago was extremely successful and has all this protective posture in place, and we want that across the U.S.
And then what about the Oregon Health Authority contract? What's going on there?
Yeah. So Oregon came out from COVID. So what had happened originally, we had a contract in Texas, still do, and then in Chicago, the governor of Texas had extra vaccine because we were the first state to actually get some of the vaccine for COVID. Oregon was in trouble, so the governor said, Callan, let's go ahead and push some up to Oregon. The public health department saw how our shippers were state of the art. They could literally see the temperature without opening the box. They just used their phone to scan the little QR code. And then my COO lives up there. So he was able to be on the ground, and they just saw a total different approach on how to manage this, and said to Scott, how do we get you to do that here? And that's how we did it. So under COVID, we did an emergency contract for 3 years for COVID. And then we competed in an open market here just literally less than a year ago, and we were awarded another contract with that. So we're still in place. We're managing their emergency response platform within the public health sector.
You have this innovative specialty packaging. Do you have strong competitors, or do you think you're way above the rest with that?
Well, the nice thing is that market, we kind of play nice in the sandbox. We're not a threat because we're not a maker of the package. The package is agnostic to us. Now, yes, we have our own packages that we feel meet or exceed what our clients need, so we can rent them to them. We don't sell the box. We rent the box, but we wrap our technology all around it. So we started a process called Ship2Q, which is Safe, Hygienic, Irradiation, Performance Process, and Qualification. Basically what it is a reclamation process where these shippers come back to us and we run them through this rigorous process to ensure that they are as good or better than they were when they were manufactured. That way they can be reused all the time. So what you do is you're taking a high-end shipper that costs $500 to buy, and you're renting it to them for what they are paying for a throwaway shipper. And that's the beauty of it. That's why we're different. So the makers of those type of shippers, they're typically sending us their customers because they'll sell to like an Eli Lilly, this $500 reusable shipper. But Eli Lilly does not have a reclamation team, and nor do they want to build one. That's not their expertise, and so they'll come to us and then we'll manage their fleet for them. That's what we did with J&J, Johnson & Johnson. They literally bought the shipper. They came to us and said, we understand you know how to reclaim these and everything, and we did that. And the system can show you where it's at. We can reroute the packages. We literally have the temperature reading inside the box. So, I don't think there's really somebody that can directly compete. One, we have the intellectual properties and the trademarks on the reclamation process. So they'd have to buy that. And believe me, there's been several that have wanted to, but they just want that piece. And it's like, well, wait a minute. That is just as important to the emergency preparedness as it is to J&J shipping their product.
Yeah.
So, And then on the emergency response and preparedness side of the house, typically our competitors are the big players, the Lockheed Martins, the Northrop Grummons, the Patheons. But because we do such a specialized approach, they come to us to subcontract that. And that really has been nice now that we're a publicly traded company, because typically let's take Northrop Grumman, they're going after multi-billion-dollar contracts with the government side of the house, commercial side of the house. So they're heavily vetted. Well, it helps that you're a public company because believe me, for somebody who just went through that, you are vetted a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been, so I said this on the roadshow. I don't think there's a true direct competitor. There are certainly folks that play in the space, but not all of the space.
Yeah. As we talk, I'm hearing a lot of new contracts. How are you getting those? How do you scale?
Well, the beauty of it is prior to us going public, we had no sales force. You're looking at him, the owner of the company, family-owned company. I'd go out and, it was word of mouth. It was friends that knew me from my government days, my private days. Now, that was our first focus when we went public was get a sales force, get a marketing plan out there. Our website now is, we had an okay website when we were a private company, but it got updated maybe once every 4 months. Now we've got, the web is constantly being updated with the news, what's going on. We have videos out there that, and they're short ones, 40-second to 2 minutes that show exactly what I'm telling you. It's one thing to hear it out of my mouth. It's another to actually see somebody packing one of these special shippers right next to one of the old technologies so they can see the difference and understand it. So, that's how we're getting the message out. And just, because we have a team that can really approach it. I went to one conference a year, every year for 14 years. Now, I think, just in 2 days, I have met with 14 different folks. The message is getting out now.
Incredible. Well, if you just first give us an overview of what Callan JMB is, what do you do?
Yeah, that's always a tough one, because of the space that we're in. But, the simple terminology is that everything we do with our product or our services is to protect people. It's to safeguard them. And so if you look at the two pieces we do, which is preparedness and response, we're that insurance policy that a state or a company has that they're preparing for an emergency, praying it never happens. When it happens, we're ready. And on the packaging side of the house, it's the same thing. We are protecting what's inside that package. Most people do not realize how much stuff out there has to be moved, protected. Pharmaceuticals easy, but think about food. People are now getting HelloFresh, Blue Apron, all of these things delivered. And is it really being protected? What about all the folks that are getting, the GLP-1s or the injectables for immune issues? There's 70 million people out there that have to get an injection of some kind of medicine to stay alive. And if it arrives, what drives me crazy is it arrives at your home and it says refrigerate upon arrival, but yet it's warm. That should raise all sorts of flags. So that's what the company is about. It's a hard one to give a real quick definition, but we save lives and we protect people, and that's what we're about. Yeah. So a lot of people ask that. So, you're going to go after additional states or additional companies that want the preparedness, or you're going after big pharma with packaging or food. And how do you scale that? Well, the nice thing is most of our business is built around the technology. And so to give you an idea, I had mentioned that we're bringing on a senior vice president for preparedness and response. He's going to go after Illinois and Ohio right off the bat. Okay, those are potentially $2 million a year revenue from each of those states. That's one person bringing in, because we already have everything. We're just duplicating it out. And then in the packaging side of the house, it's really the same thing. We don't need more bodies. It's the customers we're grabbing. And then from there, we run it through our reclamation. So right now we run one shift, Monday through Friday. We can run 3 shifts if we have to, and we can go 7 days a week. So scalability is really, and when we did the raise, when we went with the IPO, we stated that in the S1 that really our money was going to go to bring on a sales force, really do the marketing. I didn't have a CFO. That's a requirement. So it did that. And then capital was really only about $500,000 because, again, most of our tools are electronics. It's the data that we built and everything like that. So, yeah, scalability is not going to be an issue whatsoever.